It's your boy Chris, aka Black Santa. Now let's talk about, is Monster Hunter Rise the game that you should get into if you're new to the series, or if you're somebody who tried it before but just didn't like it? And that's me, who falls under that second part. Because I tried Monster Hunter in the past and I really could not get into it. But does Monster Hunter Rise change anything and make it more fun, more accessible? Is it something you should jump into? Well, I ain't gonna BS you and say, yes, you should definitely jump into it. I'm not gonna say, no, you definitely shouldn't. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think it's something you should try. I think you should try Monster Hunter Rise because it's so much different than the past Monster Hunter games, in a good way. I know there are some people who don't like a lot of the changes, more of the people who are veterans to the series, but I think most of them would understand why they decided to go down this route. Because if you look at Monster Hunter World, which came out a couple of years ago, that was the one that broke a bunch of records for Monster Hunter especially, and was their best-selling one because they kind of mainstreamed it. They changed a lot of things up. Because one of the things that I hated as a player who tried it in the past was I knew something was up when I first started. And remember, this is when I first started. I think I started with Monster Hunter's Generation or Monster Hunter 4. I can't remember which one exactly it was, but it was definitely for the 3DS. And I started with that one, and I was like, I got 50 minutes to kill this one monster. And it's obviously after the tutorial stuff. And I'm like, something's up here. So you're fighting this thing, and out of nowhere, you think you're doing well, then it just starts running away, and you're sitting there like, why are you running? Why are you running? And then it just goes and runs, and then it runs into another part of the map, and then you gotta chase it down with you and your little cat buddy. And you're chasing, and you're chasing, and you're chasing, and then you gotta get super tired. And then you're sitting there and you're waiting, and for someone like me who's just it gets to a point where I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, it seems that I have a lot of time left, but out of nowhere, you're down like 5-10 minutes have just passed, and you're like, And then you're continuing to chase after this thing, and then you're going through a loading screen. So that's fun. And then you finally catch back up to it, and you're fighting this thing again, and then you notice, oh crap, my sword or weapon, axe or whatever you're using, oh crap, it's losing its sharpness. I need to sharpen this thing back up. Well, this thing is still trying to kill me. And then you're trying to do that, and you're trying to also keep your health going, and you got all these other tutorials, even when you're somewhat past the tutorial, all these other things that's popping up for you to learn, and it's a lot of stuff just hitting you over and over and over and over, and you're just like, man, this is a lot of stuff going on. And then the monster starts running again, and you're like, why are you running? And he's running again. That can get really annoying. It was just so much stuff. And then what was so bad about it, for me at least, is that it didn't kill me. It did cart me in my first attempt. Matter of fact, no, I didn't get caught until I tried it again the second time out of frustration. But that first time, I just ran out of time. I literally ran out of time. And I know a lot of veteran players are like, well, you just didn't do this right and you did that right. Yeah, I get that. But again, I'm a new person to the game. So there was a lot of stuff that just wasn't very fun about it, and it just made me say, you know what, this ain't for me. But what it did do was give me my love for God Eater, which is like Monster Hunter, but a lot more simpler. Not saying like, oh, it's Monster Hunter for dummies. I'm not saying it's Monster Hunter for dummies at all. But I'm saying it's I hate when people say it's the anime version of Monster Hunter, because it's like, dude, Monster Hunter's anime as hell. Like, come on now. You're telling me the way your character eats food, that obnoxious way of eating it so quickly and grumping it all down, that's anime as hell. So don't hit me with that it's just completely anime. But it does have a much more anime art style, and it has a much more story, because Monster Hunter is not really known too much for its story. It's more known for you're killing these giant monsters, you're doing all this cool stuff, a lot of multiplayer stuff you can jump into. Me, I'm more of a single player guy. Play multiplayer here and there with friends or whatever, or just with some randos here and there. But I'm more of a single player guy. So I enjoyed God Eater for its story, even though it can be cliche as hell. Whatever, it's fun. I enjoy God Eater's story. I love the characters and all that. But what does Monster Hunter Rise do that change it from everything else? Well, it builds off of what Monster Hunter World does, where it's a lot more mainstream, where you have, in this situation, your Palico, which is usually the cat buddy. Now you have a wolf, dog, a canine partner, who now, when you're chasing monsters or just moving around on these maps, which are now just seamless, you can just go and not have to worry about going through a loading screen anymore. You can just freaking go, and it's so much fun. I think that's a much better way of doing things. And I think I heard that at first they was thinking of, when they started on Monster Hunter Rise, they was actually going to make it where you're going through loading screens, some, similar to how the older games was. But they quickly changed their minds once how they saw how great World was doing, and how many people loved it that way. They was like, yeah, we'll keep it this way. And thank you for doing that. But either way, you got your new canine buddy, and you're riding, and now you can get on, because he's pretty big. You can get on him, and he doesn't run out of stamina. So you don't have to worry about him tiring or your character tiring. And what I love to do when I'm fighting a monster and I'm putting in the work, and then my weapon starts to lose its sharpness, call Wolf Buddy over, jump on, and while I'm running around trying not to get murdered, I can sharpen my blade right then and there. You can heal, you can eat food to get your stamina back. Like, you can do, it's so much easier to do things. And yeah, there are times where they hit you with a lot of tutorial stuff and a lot of things like, oh, you do this, do that, and do this. At no point did I really felt overwhelmed like I did in the other games, where it was just so much stuff, and you just like, okay, I got to do all this. I got to hunt this guy down and do no. It's a lot more simpler, a lot more easier for newer players, or players who tried it in the past who just didn't like it, or players who are bigger fans of God Eater. You can jump into this and get a similar feel, a much, much, much better feel. So, honestly, in conclusion, I really feel that newer players or players who tried it before should definitely try Monster Hunter Rise. It is a very fun game. I'm trying not to go into any spoilers, because in this game they do have a story. Again, it's not like God Eater where the whole game is story based, but it has a story that's pretty. It does a good enough job. It's fun enough, and it has some really cool monsters. And the one thing I do love is, before every monster fight, you get this really cool cutscene where they're the narrator's telling you about how badass this monster is, and he's kind of somewhat hitting bars and everything, just doing what he gotta do, and it gets you pumped up, and you hear all these cool things, and then it goes like a flash, and then it does it stops, and it shows the monster pose or whatever, and it has his name, and then it'll have a nickname on what it is, like the Eater of Worlds or some crazy stuff like that, and it's just amazing. I really love what they did for Monster Hunter Rise, and I really think fans should really give it a shot. And heck, the game is already selling really well, so it's not like people aren't giving it a shot. But this video was just more for people who have tried it in the past and was like, I don't know if I want to, because of how it was too much stuff going on. It's so much easier. The way you upgrade stuff is so much better, because I know in the past games you had to definitely when it comes to skills, you had to freaking memorize a freaking mathematical table to figure out what should I do here. If I put this here, this is going to lower this is going to do that, this might raise this is going to do that. It was weird. It was just a lot of stuff. They do a much better job explaining things, and it's much, much easier to get into. So I really think you guys should give it a shot. I'm going to do some other videos talking about Monster Hunter, more maybe even some tutorials going down some of the monsters and how I was able to take them out, because I was able to do everything in low rank. I'm pretty much almost finished with everything in high rank from what's there, because at the end of the month I know they're going to add some more stuff, some more DLC stuff. I think it's free DLC. I'm not for sure on that, but I know they're going to add some more stuff, and we're going to get some more story stuff too, which is cool to me, because again, I'm much more of a single player guy, but still, it's always fun teaming up with other people and putting in that work on those monsters. So either way, just letting y'all know that my honest opinion, I think people should give it a shot. So this is your boy, your number one weave, signing